This is Brian, and welcome back to this commentary playthrough of Mega Man 5. And I think I'm probably going into a fight with Dr. Wily. Okay. Yep. Okay, I think that's what I gotta do. It would seem like the hardest part of this is probably going to be the fact that there are those spikes in the middle. So as long as I can just kind of wait until he's... Yeah, that one wasn't good on timing. He was too close to the middle. Same thing there. Damn it. I guess maybe that... Yeah, I just need to decide not to jump over when he does that. Good enough. If I can just keep it up. And yeah, be ready to jump across when he does go to the side like that. One or two more hits? Okay. One more should do it. And of course, he's got an escape pod. So do we have a whole nother level, or what do we got? Or is it just one of those things where they give me some free power-ups before I go into the fight? Suppose I better treat it like it's going to be a regular level. God, I hate these guys. It doesn't seem like it should be that big of a deal, but... Their beams are just hard to avoid, for me at least. Okay. Anything else? Of course it is. Ah. Well, that was just a pain in the ass kind of stuff to get through. Got one extra life. We don't have anything restocked. But for my notes, I didn't see what the boss is. I just looked at recommended weapons. The recommended weapon for this one should just either be the regular M-Buster charged up, or the Super Arrow seems like it could work as well. Okay, I have 4 E-Tanks, so I'd be willing to use a couple of them, because I don't think this is the last form. Okay, he's sucking me in. Okay, those blue balls are easier to avoid than his missiles, or whatever they are. They don't do nearly as much damage as when I actually hit the tank, or when he sucks me in. I should have plenty to finish him off now. Okay, and yeah, there was Dr. Wily again. Alright. Okay, another fight right away. I think the regular weapon should also work here. I want to see, though... Yeah. And actually, I think this is the last one. So, yeah, that refills everything. So I think I'll try to get... I'm going to go ahead and try to keep using Beat. I guess I didn't really pay attention to how much damage it was doing against him. I should probably check that out. And I do still have an E-Tank if need be. Just doing some. If I can just avoid his stuff, which should be easy enough as long as I'm not trying to shoot him. And Beat only uses up its energy when he actually hits him, it seems like. Yeah, so if he has any health left, I'll just mop it up with my M-Buster. Need to get better at avoiding those. Damn it. I think I can afford one more hit without dying. I guess when I menued, that sent my bird away. Yeah, that was trouble, getting stuck right under him. Yeah, sometimes the bird seems to, like... That was stupid. Bird seems to, like, hone in on him sometimes, like where he's gonna appear. Sometimes it doesn't. I should be in the clear, though, as long as I just hit him one more time. So, yeah, that seems like it could have been pretty hard, but that made it fairly easy. With enough E-Tanks. Alright, are we done? I think we're done. He doesn't usually run away like this, so that's different. Usually just falls on the floor groveling. Like that. Okay, yeah, they had to show you that he did have Dr. Light in the cage there. Ah. So Mega Man's holding up the factory. Proto Man's gonna come to the rescue, probably. And Dr. Wily gets away again. Proto Man kind of faded off into the foreground there. Alright, there we go. Gravity Man. I did not like that stage at all. No. I appreciate the idea. Wave Man. That one was okay, except for that section where I had to... It was like auto-scrolling on the wave jet or whatever. Stone Man was fine. I didn't like his power-up that you gained from him, but... Gyro Man was fine, too. Starman? Yeah, since you could jump really high in his stage, that was kind of cool. His power-up isn't the greatest. Charge Man, I didn't mind his stage, but fighting him kind of sucked. Especially when Stone Man was my weapon of choice to try to beat him. Napalm Man? Yeah, he's pretty cool. After I figured out how I needed to use his power-up, it was pretty good. Crystal Man? Some of those platforming sections in his stage kind of sucked because you had to avoid falling in the pits and the falling crystals. We'll finish watching through the credits here, and then I'll just give a short review. I didn't know exactly how long, if I had another stage left, or if it was just the 3 bosses, and I didn't know how long they'd take, but I figured today'd probably be a little bit shorter. Yeah. Bunch of names that I don't want to try to pronounce. And by Capcom, and there's, yeah, the Beat Bird. I don't know if he has a particular name in Mega Man lore, or if you just call him Beat. I don't know if he comes back in some of the later ones or not. I guess I'll find out if he's in 6 when I get to it. Probably gonna go through the Super Nintendo ones too, at least. Don't know if we'll go much farther with Mega Man past that. Or I don't even know how far the series goes. And all the spin-offs, I know they have a lot of different, not just like platforming and regular Mega Man type of games going forward. I think there were some that are even more RPG-like. I might try some of those out. Alright, I think that's going to be it. I'll press a few buttons, start and whatnot, and see if it goes back to the main screen or something. Doesn't seem like it's probably gonna, though. We got this nice music going here, though, so I'll go ahead and start my short review for this one. Just like to give a few pros and cons, positives and negatives that I felt about the game at the end here. So, for this one, I don't know. I don't have anything that negative or positive about it. There are a few negatives that stick out. But the positives, it seems like it's just kind of things that are a lot like all the Mega Man games. They don't... It's just another one in the series, and they're all kind of the same cookie-cutter type of formula. So, a few things I had. Well, I did appreciate how they added the letters in every level to pick up, and how it unlocked your beat. I thought that was kind of unique and interesting for just something a little bit different to add to it. And you still have the sliding and the charge up beam and all that. I used the charge up with the M-Buster a lot more in this game, and it seems like it would have been a lot tougher without it for a lot of these enemies. Especially the smaller ones that are just harder to hit or move fast. Another thing, the super arrow, it's a little bit different. It's not like the rush ability, but it kind of lets you use it as a weapon or as a platform, so I thought that was kind of interesting how they combined some of the utility. Like, I know before rush was a thing, back in the early Mega Man games, there was some different abilities that were kind of more like the super arrow, where you could just create a platform. I don't remember if that was from 2 or from 1 that did that. They might have both had something somewhat similar to that. But, yeah. Last thing I wanted to touch on was, I kind of mentioned it already, but just the fact that it is just another Mega Man game in the series. It's all NES. The graphics haven't really improved much. The gameplay is about the same. But they just take what they had from the last games and just slightly add a few more things to it. And for the most part, most of the time, the things they've been adding into it have improved them overall, I think. But now, let's get to some of the negative points or nitpicks I had with it. One of the major things I didn't like was what they did with Rush Coil. Maybe it was just me, and I didn't understand how to use him, but it seemed like he sucked compared to the previous games that have had Rush Coil in them. This wasn't very helpful as far as trying to jump. So it led me to use Rush Jet more often in some of the situations where I would have tried to use Rush Coil, as long as there was room for me to gain altitude with it. Another thing is Gravity Man stage. Well, I did comment on it, that I did appreciate the fact that they tried something like that. When I first got into it, it seemed cool, but by the end of it, and especially in the boss fight the first time I fought him, it just seemed like a gimmick from hell, and I didn't want anything to do with it. Now, the second time I fought him in Dr. Wily's castle, that didn't seem nearly as bad. I suppose it was just because I was kind of getting more used to the game and the way things played. So I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad as I initially thought. If I played through that level again, maybe I'd feel a little different about it. The next thing is that, yeah, they are getting to the point where it seems like they're struggling for ideas, maybe. Or maybe they were struggling for ideas on what to do for different boss weapons. Because some of the ones are kind of weird, and, well, some of them are just kind of repeats, but they've already done some of that. Like, I know there's only so many ways you can have a fire attack, or so many ways you can have a water attack. The Wave Man was different. I mean, it was water, but it was actually came out in a wave. That was kind of cool. Stone Man's, that one sucked. I wouldn't have used it at all if it wasn't for it being Charged Man's weakness. The other ones, like Gyro, that was fine. The way you could actually change his direction on your own, I liked that. But yeah, like Starman was kind of like Leaf Shield, so that was just a repeat. Gravity Man was kind of like Flash Man, I think it was. Or whichever one it was where you could just freeze the screen, basically, and yeah, do damage to the enemy that way. Or whichever boss, it was their weakness. And the last thing I wanted to comment on was kind of like Gravity Man stage, where I mentioned I didn't like that. Wave Man had that part where you were on the jet bike or whatnot, and it was auto-scrolling to the side. You couldn't even menu. Yeah, I didn't really appreciate that too much. It wasn't the hardest thing I've done, but yeah. Trying to go on one health bar. I got lucky and got a few power-ups or a few energy refills, so that helped me get through it. Otherwise, it probably would have taken a few more tries to get through that. It kind of reminds me a little bit. It's not nearly at the difficulty level, I don't suppose, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of the infamous Turbo Tunnel from Battletoads, where you really have to, yeah, it's moving you to the side quickly, and you have to watch out for the obstacles in your way. Although that game's a lot less forgiving than this one was. But like I said, it just kind of reminded me of that. It's, yeah, I'm not trying to equate it on difficulty. So, yeah, that's about it for Mega Man 5. If I had to rank it compared to the other Mega Man games, it's not the worst one, but it's certainly not going to be in my favorite. It'd probably be somewhere around... It'd be in the upper portion of the bottom half so far, I suppose. So maybe out of 5, I would put it at number 2. Yeah. I'd have to stop and think about how it exactly did the ranking. I'd probably still put 3 on the top, and then 2. And then 4, and then 5 and 1. Yeah. I mean, I'd have to look back through them and a little bit to really decide. Anyway. We're going to call it there on Mega Man 5. Now, what am I going to do next in this time slot? I think I'm just going to rotate back to Wario, and we're going to move on to Wario Land 2. After that, I will probably try to just come back and do Mega Man 6, but I'm not guaranteed that I won't change my mind on that by the time we get done with it. After I get done with some of these Mario and Mega Man games, or somewhere in between maybe even, I want to start playing some of the Ninja Turtle games, because I do have fond memories of a couple of those at least, and I know they're fairly popular. The first one wasn't my favorite, because it's kind of a little bit weird and a little more difficult. Second one was pretty good, because it was more like an arcade game, beat-em-up type of game, and you could do 2-player really easily, so it was always fun to play with a friend or a family member. I remember that. But we'll see. Anyway, we'll pick it up here tomorrow with Wario Land 2. So, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, please like, comment, and subscribe or follow, and we'll catch you next time.